What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a walk around and overview with this 2023 BMW M4 Competition xDrive Coupe. So we have touched on in various videos all different body styles of the current generation 4 Series. We did the i4 M50, which is a Grand Coupe. We did the M440 in convertible form, and now we'll tackle the Coupe with the top of the 4 Series lineup being, of course, the M4 Competition. So the M4 Competition can only be had in coupe or convertible body styles. There is no Grand Coupe M4 Competition. That would be the M3 if you want a four-door M4-like M car. So we're going to talk about the exterior styling. Of course, we will talk about the powertrain and the performance specifications. We'll also go over the interior. This interior is trimmed in Yas Marina blue, which is a really cool color, so we'll touch on that. We'll talk about the trunk and everything there is to know about the M4 Competition. So let's start off under the hood. Being an M car, the engine is a pretty important thing to talk about, and the M4's engine is a twin turbocharged 3-liter inline 6. So in base trim, the S58, which is what this engine is called, makes 473 horsepower. In competition trim, it is bumped up by 30 up to 503 horsepower. That's a significant enough horsepower bump. 30 horsepower is a nice little boost, but the bigger improvement from base to competition comes in torque. So the base M4 engine and M3 engine, same engine, makes 406 pound-feet of torque, whereas the competition version makes 479 pound-feet of torque. So a huge jump in torque, which will really improve mid-range pickup and passing power in lower RPM ranges, and just make the car feel a little bit punchier and torqueier, obviously, when you're driving it around on the street. So big bump for the competition. The competition also gets some other changes, such as an 8-speed automatic transmission opposed to the base car's 6-speed manual, get some suspension adjustments and whatnot as well. But that is the engine in the M4. If you want more details on the S58, it is a really fantastic, raucous, classic BMW M engine. We did a video on the technical specs talking about like compression ratios and bore and stroke and things like that, getting really nitty-gritty into the details, technical details of the S58 in a previous video, which we'll link to in this little pop-up banner in the top right of your screen right now. So go ahead and check that out if you want more details on the S58. But suffice it to say, really potent engine, really responsive to aftermarket parts if that's what you're into. We've seen this engine do some really impressive things on the dyno and in the aftermarket realm if you're into that. But even in stock form, really potent, really powerful, and just a classic M engine. It revs to 7,200 RPM, which is pretty high for a turbo engine, a modern BMW turbo engine. So really just a great engine. Big fan of the S58. Paired in the competition only to an 8-speed M Steptronic automatic with drive logic. So great powertrain in the M4. Let's talk a little bit about styling. So up front, the M4 features a really big and prominent kidney grille, which was, of course, controversial when it first came out. It's a big grille. Now that we've been around it a little bit and we've seen it in person, I am personally a huge fan of the grille. I think the front end of the G80 and the G82, which is what this car is, looks really good. I overall think it's a great looking front end, and it does have some classic M elements to it. For example, if you look at M cars and M sport cars, they almost always have 2 vents on either side and then a bigger vent in the middle. We kind of see a play on that with the big grille kind of extending down low enough to be considered that big center vent, but you still have 2 prominent grilles on either side of the main air passageway for the front end. You can see this car is equipped with the 50th anniversary roundels. You can opt for a standard BMW roundel if you would like. Another specific design element about the M cars in the 3 and 4 Series lineup are these kind of indents in the hood. So traditionally M cars or M3s had what BMW called the power bulge. You see that really prominently on the E90 and the F80 generations of M's, F82, E92, the coupes as well. BMW kind of reversed that a little bit for the G Series M cars, so we get these indents in the lower part of the hood. The hood does bulge up slightly in the top, not quite a traditional power bulge in BMW M history, but still a cool looking special hood. You'll also see that this car is equipped with laser lights, which in my opinion are an absolute must if you're optioning out a M4, M3. Definitely get the laser lights. They look way better. They have those cool blue accents in them, but they also light up nighttime roads like a headlight I'm sure you've probably never seen before. It's really, really impressive how efficiently and effectively, I should say, the laser lights work at improving nighttime visibility. So let's come around to the side of the car. We'll talk a little bit about these wheels and brakes. So these are the 825M wheels in bicolor. So these are a 19 in the front, 20 in the back, 275 wide tire up front, 285 wide tire out back. The 825s are one of 3 different wheel options you can get for the M4 and the M3. You can get the 824s, which are an 18 all around. You can get the 826s, which are a more honeycomb-like design, which are still the split stagger 1920. But the 825s, which are what these are, can be had in bicolor, which is what you see here. So you have like a machined face on the front and then black on the insides of the spokes. You can also get them in orbit gray. So the entire spoke face is going to be orbit gray, and then this outer lip will be trimmed in like a bright polish finish, which is kind of what you see here. But 2 different choices if you want the 825s, which is nice to see. We also just saw these wheels debut on the new M2, which just came out, which we cannot wait to get our hands on, by the way. But you can have those wheels in all black on the M2 as well, which is cool. So also, you'll see that the brake caliper is red. You can get that in blue or black or gold if you get carbon ceramics. You also can see that the rotor is drilled, and it is a semi-floating design, so the actual rotor surface is separated from the hub, or at least there are air channels in there that helps with heat dissipation and more lets the brakes work more efficiently, doesn't trap as much heat in the braking system, which is great and has become a signature of M cars. Talking a little bit more about styling, you have the M4 kind of side gill right here with the M4 Competition logo and badge right there in the center, which looks really cool. Nice black touch, especially against this car. Is called Alpine White is the paint color. This black piece here contrasting against the white car looks really nice. Same goes for this lower part, which is black. That side skirt rocker panel area is black and juts out nicely to give the car a little bit of dimension from the side. Same thing with these mirror caps. These are black. You can get those in carbon fiber if you would like, along with some other elements in carbon fiber if you get the carbon fiber package. As far as other styling elements on the side of the car, a couple things I want to point out. For one, obviously, I talk about it a lot, but you have some nice rear-wheel drive proportions. The car sits back nicely. The passenger compartment feels aesthetically like it's pushed towards the back of the car. You have a nice sloping roofline with the coupe, which makes it look athletic and sporty from the side. It has a pretty BMW side profile. It's a little bit different. They kind of made a play on the traditional BMW side profile. I think the 2 Series right now, the new M2, if you want to go look at pictures of that, but even like the M240 has a very classic BMW side profile. The M4 plays on it a little bit. It's not quite that traditional BMW side profile, but you can see the BMW DNA in it, and it looks really nice. This kind of shoulder line that creases right around behind the front door and comes all the way back into the taillight helps to emphasize that sort of motion in, makes the car look like it has motion to it when it's not moving. So overall, really good looking side profile. Let's come around to the back of the car. Now the front end and the kind of side areas are largely similar. Obviously there's 2 less doors on the M3 or on the M4 as opposed to the M3, but the back end is where you see the big difference between M4 and M3. The taillights are a totally different shape, and that is kind of the biggest differentiator between the 2 cars, minus obviously the 2 lacks of doors, but the 2 less doors. You can see the taillights obviously have a unique design specific to the 4 Series. You have a nice black spoiler up here, which looks really nice. If you didn't get shadow line, which this car has, your spoiler would be body color, as would your mirror caps and your exhaust tips. Worth noting, the exhaust tips would be chrome, not body color, but they wouldn't be black as they are now. You can see the diffuser is trimmed in a nice piano black, gloss black, and so are these kind of side pieces that jut out a little bit from the edge of the bumper. also black. So there's a black underline underneath pretty much the entire car, diffuser, side skirts. The front end has body color down to the bottom, but there's obviously black underneath there as well. So it's a very cohesive design as far as the color and the accents, like the white on black theme works really well. Same goes for any other color that you would get on the M4. If you get Shadowline, you'll have a nice kind of black and whatever your body color is, which can look really cool. One thing I want to note for 23, BMW has added xDrive badges to the M3 and the M4. I don't believe we saw that for 21 and 22, so that is a little change, model year 22 to 23 for the M4. Otherwise, the M4 is pretty much totally unchanged. It did not get iDrive 8 yet like the M3 did. That will come for the M4 eventually, I predict. That'll come for the LCI whenever they decide to push that out for the M4. But that's going to do it for the exterior styling. Let's go ahead and pop the trunk. We'll also take a look at the back seat room, which is surprisingly roomy for a coupe. And then we'll hop in the front passenger compartment and go over some of the driver-focused interior items as well. All right, so let's take a look at the trunk in the M4 Competition coupe. Obviously, competition or not, the trunk space will be the same in all M4 models, but you might be surprised to learn, being a two-door car, you might expect that the trunk would be a little bit smaller. It's really not. You have plenty of space back here, definitely room for two people's luggage, full-size suitcases, or a couple of golf bags, absolutely no doubt would fit in here, no problem. We have our floor mats back here, so it's a little bit occupied, but hopefully you can still get an idea of how spacious the trunk is. Really, really roomy. The M4 has grown quite a bit from its previous generation, F82 to G82. It did pick up a couple of inches in pretty much every dimension, width, length, etc. A lot of that went to back seat space and trunk space because the trunk is definitely bigger than the F82, so is the back seat. Speaking of the back seat, let's come around and hop into the back seat where you'll see that the ability to get in and out, ingress and egress for the back seat is plentiful, and once you're actually in the back seat, it's a perfectly comfortable place to sit and spend some time. So all you have to do is pull on this latch right here, and the front passenger seat will move its way forward electronically, and then you can kind of duck in here, sit down, and you're in the back. It's pretty easy to get in and out, and usually we do this on the driver's side, so you can see sitting behind my own driving position. Had a car parked there, didn't want to get in the way, but sitting in the back seat is perfectly comfortable. You can see that on the driver's side, there's plenty of room here. I would have multiple inches of leg room if I sat behind my own driving position. If you wanted to move the front passenger seat up a little bit, you can have plenty of space for 4 adults in the M4. There are USB charge ports back here. You have climate control and vents in the back seat as well. You have some coat hooks on the side and comfortable armrests and small little storage pockets, a bottle holder over here on the side. So overall, a very nice place to be in the back of the M4. You do have a child seat tie down, and this center seat, not a seat actually, there's just 2 seats in the back here, but this center area folds down. You can use this as a pseudo armrest if you would like, or obviously as a pass-through for longer items if necessary. But that, as I try to get out as gracefully as possible, it is pretty easy to get in and out. I just kind of fumbled there. But hopefully that shows that the back seat of the M4 is perfectly usable, easy to move that front seat forward and backward, and just generally a usable car for 4 people, no problem if that's what you want to do. So that's going to do for the trunk and the back seat. Let's hop up front and go over the interior there. All right, so here we are in the front seat of the M4 Competition. This is obviously where most of the exciting things will be happening in the M4. Before we even talk about anything though, I have to point out this absolutely incredible spec on the interior. So this is called Yas Marina blue, merino leather on the interior of this M4. It is optional on the M3 as well. This car doesn't just have the Yas Marina, but it has the full Yas Marina merino interior. That means the lower dash is trimmed in this light blue. All the door cards, there is Yas Marina everywhere. It is so cool. It's really bright, brings a lot of color into the interior, especially with these yellow accents. There's yellow stitching and then accents on the sides of the seat here that match Sao Paulo yellow, really cool, so really well. So if you get Sao Paulo yellow on the outside and this Yas Marina on the inside, you end up with a really nicely matching interior and exterior. It's bright and it's bold. It might not be for everybody. It's a really bold color combo, but it looks really good the way they match. So that's the interior color, really cool. This one is also equipped with carbon fiber trim, so that gives you carbon fiber trim around the steering wheel, carbon fiber shift paddles, which look really nice, and carbon fiber trim down in the center console and on the dashboard as well. These shift paddles, speaking of, have a red plus and minus emblem, which is really cool, and then red kind of rubberized grip tape on the back, which is cool. They have a nice tactile feel. They're very large. They remind me of carbon fiber paddles that were sold and very common aftermarket on F80 M3, so maybe BMW is kind of looking at the aftermarket and taking cues from there, which is a good thing because the paddles feel really good. So let's talk a little bit about ergonomics. Obviously, BMW is kind of known for having really good ergonomics in the 3 Series cars, and that translates to the 4 Series very well. Both armrests are at the same height. You can get a nice low driving position even with the standard seats. The carbon buckets go even lower, but the standard seats give you a nice sporty feeling driving experience. Your chest is right in line with the center of that cross in the BMW emblem, which is perfect, and the steering wheel feels great in your hands as well. So the driving position is fantastic for performance driving if you want it to be, or you can go back a little bit, get a more relaxed position. Either one will work in the M4. Speaking of the steering wheel, it is trimmed in black leather with M tricolor stitching, which matches the M tricolor stitch on the shift knob and the various M badges throughout the interior. So great looking colors on the inside between the Sao Paulo and Yas Marina, the yellow stitching, the M tricolor stitching, the red accents on the start button, the M1 and M2 buttons, and the shift paddles. Just a really cool, cohesive feeling, sporty interior, especially with the carbon fiber. Let's talk a little bit about the technology in this car. So you do have iDrive 7 with the fully digital live cockpit gauge cluster. Not iDrive 8 yet. We don't know if that's coming in the 24 M4, 25. We're not really sure, but I would expect it to come in not so long. So iDrive 7 for now, but iDrive 8 is surely on the way eventually. As far as the M sort of technology, you do have your setup button down here in the middle that allows you to configure the engine, chassis, steering, brake, and M xDrive system from four-wheel drive Sport, or just rear-wheel drive. If you option the xDrive Professional package, you'll also get your variable traction control, 10-stage adjustable traction control, which is really cool. Other things worth noting about the interior of the M4, one very, very minor change that they did make from 22 to 23 is this center badge, which you used to see on 22 models. The M4 Competition logo has been removed. It's now just a piece of gloss black, piano black trim to match kind of the rest of the center console. Just one small little change there. While we're down in that area though, you do have your standard iDrive knob, your standard M shifter with drive logic, so you can adjust the shift speed with these switches here, and then you have your traction control, parking sensor, auto start stop, and then your start engine and M specific buttons as well. So that is going to do it for the interior of the M4. Overall, really nice place to be, really well equipped, Harman Kardon sound system, Merino leather. This one has the full, so you get the dashboard like we talked about, and the extended leather on the lower dash as well. So overall, really nice place to be, comfortable, spacious, plenty usable as a daily driver or a grand touring car, or your track day weapon if you want to do that as well. So great place to be in the interior of the M4. If you want some more in-depth looks at the kind of M specific stuff, we did a video on the M5, the M8, the M3. We've gone into great detail with the M specific setup stuff in those videos, so if you want to check that out, please do if you want more details. But overall, great place to be in the M4. That's going to do it for the interior. Let's hop outside and wrap up. All right, so that is going to do it for this walk around and overview of the 2023 M4 Competition xDrive Coupe. Hope you guys enjoyed checking out the M4 with us. We really enjoyed shooting it. It's a great car, fun car to be around. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you think we deserved it. Drop a comment down below if you have any questions about the M4 or any other BMW models, anything BMW related, or suggestions for future videos. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at BMW of Morristown, or come visit us at 111 Ridgedale Ave here in Morristown, New Jersey. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.